Can I learn Norwegian by myself? That's a question that I often get from people who don't have a Norwegian course in their city or who might just not have the budget right now to pay for a traditional Norwegian course with a teacher. So is it an option to teach yourself Norwegian? And I would say at the beginning it definitely is, for several reasons. One of them is that Norwegian and English are similar languages. They belong to the same language family, the Germanic languages, where you would also find German and Dutch, and the Scandinavian languages like Swedish, Danish, and so on. And therefore, a lot of the vocabulary is really similar, so you're going to recognize a lot of words when you start learning Norwegian. The second thing is that the grammar is not super complicated. It has its fallacies, but basically it's a relatively simple language to get started with. So therefore, I would say yes, definitely you can learn Norwegian by yourself, at least at the beginning. A few caveats, a few things that might not go so well if you're teaching yourself Norwegian without the help of a teacher. One thing is the pronunciation. When you want to get a good Norwegian accent, there are a few sounds that just don't exist in the English language. And of course, there's material out there that will teach you how to produce these sounds, but you can never be 100% sure whether what you're saying is actually right. So you need feedback on that at some point, and that should be ideally by a competent teacher who knows what you might be doing wrong and how to fix it. The other thing is that you don't want to just write and read or listen to Norwegian. You want to probably also speak Norwegian. And yes, you can talk to yourself. That is underrated. You can actually practice speaking by just sitting at home and talking, as I always say, to your teddy bear. You can do that, but in the long run, you want to have a conversation and you need to practice that with other Norwegian speakers. So either Norwegian native speakers or people who are also learning Norwegian. So at that point, you might have to join a group, join a language cafe, or go to a slightly traditional Norwegian course. And the third thing is, it's also a bit of a question of motivation. As much as Norwegian might be a relatively simple language for English speakers to learn, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of energy, and at some point you're going to lose that energy and you're going to be a little bit frustrated, and then it's the question, how do you carry on? And when you're in that situation, a group of other people or your personal Norwegian teacher can really be encouraging, can get you through this low mood phase. So that is also a thing to think about when you're trying to learn Norwegian on your own. Now, if you want to teach yourself Norwegian, what are resources out there? I'm pretty biased there because I've produced my own Norwegian course. It's based on a coherent, slightly absurd story about this doll here, Niels. The reason why I made it is because I believe that much of the material out there, unfortunately, is quite boring. So I decided to create a Norwegian course around the story that starts super simply but gets more and more complicated. But of course, if you have other ideas of how you would like to learn Norwegian, feel free to check out other resources. I've written a long blog article on resources for learning Norwegian. I'll put the link in the description. Check it out and see if you can find materials that work well for you. So to sum up, is it possible to teach yourself Norwegian? Yes, you can learn Norwegian on your own. It's a relatively simple language to get started with, but think about the pronunciation, think about how you can practice a conversation in Norwegian, and also how you can keep up your motivation. These three things might be a little bit easier if you join a traditional language course. But for the beginning, start with the materials that you can get yourself. There is a lot of information on grammar and pronunciation on this YouTube channel, so make sure to check these videos out as well.